Ladies and gentlemen, game week 12. We'll do a quick coverall of game week 11. You guys know the drill at this point. James, you'll be shocked to hear I went 5-5, mate. I'm not even kidding. It seems like we're getting to a point where I'm just like, I'm giving some money to the Premier League. It's like, let me keep this 5-5 thing going because I'm making money off it. Like, no, I'm not. Guys, it's actually really frustrating. I'd much rather go 4-6 just to kind of wake myself up a little bit more, So yeah, 5-5 again for me, which is really disappointing. I'm still 2 games off trying to get back to, hitting 500. James went 4-6. Obviously, I think it was, what I'm going to say though, mate, it was going to be tricky for you to replicate 8-2, which we still need to piggyback off the back of. That was unbelievable. But yeah, let's look at where we were at overall. So yeah, I'm still 2 games off 500, 49 correct results, 51 incorrect results. James, 44 and 56, 44 correct results, 56 incorrect results. I've extended my lead back up by 1 after James jumped on me by 3 the week before. So James is still up a net on the last 2 weeks. Without any further ado, James, let's head to the South Coast. Let's head to Brighton. Brighton versus Nottingham Forest. Who have you got winning that game and what is your score?
For Nottingham Forest, it's not looking good for them, Jack. It just feels from their side where there's just not enough consistency there for them, and it looks like they're going to be staring relegation right in the face, Jack. The last 5 games have only managed to pick up 1 point. L after L after L. Sometimes convincing games against Leicester of all teams, who you know how bad of a start they've had this year, losing 4-0 to them. Had some close games, but it's hard for them to get it gelling, and then they're going to Brighton. We know what Brighton has been able to do recently. In the last 5 games hasn't been the most convincing. Only won 1 out of the last 5 and lost 3. But again, each game that they've lost have been close here or there. But as I said before, Jack, with this Brighton team, we like what they've been able to do. We like what they've been able to build there, and especially Brighton at home. I'm going to back Brighton again. I'm going to say 2-1 Brighton.
2-1. Yeah, look, I got Brighton winning 2. I got them 3-0. I do think it will be a bit more of a let's get back to it kind of game. I think, obviously De Zerbi's come in and he's building on the fantastic work Graham Potter's done. But again, James, it's less about Brighton. It's more about Nottingham Forest. Has the Morgan Gibbs-White transfer really worked out the way they wanted to? No. Jesse Lingard, Serge Aurier is still in and around that football team as well. Nico Williams, I know, was brought in for 15, 18 mil, somewhere in and around that point. And again, managers signed this new long-term deal. It's been a horrible handling of coming into the league. I love the investment, but again, it's something we talk about a lot. Squad turnover is very, very difficult. Centre-back partnerships, midfield partnerships, attacking partnerships, goalkeeper communicating with his defenders. These are all relationships that require time, trust to build. If you're going to turn over squads that quickly, it's much, much harder to do. So, again, I think Brighton have got that one in the bag. And yeah, like you say, not looking brilliant for Forest. Not a very well handled off-season, in my opinion. Going to Crystal Palace, welcoming Wolves to town. Again, I've been, full of praise for this Crystal Palace team. I'm always very, very impressed with what they're capable of doing with a squad that, in my opinion, really is kind of a relegation caliber squad, apart from a couple gems hiding in there, the likes of Wilfried Zaha, etc., etc. I do have Wolves winning this one though, James. I just think that the talent of that starting 11 is really, really good. They don't have that killer instinct in terms of goals. We're hoping maybe that Diego Costa is going to provide that with Kalajdzic, and obviously his terrible season-ending knee injury, which obviously we're really, really upset about. It was a huge, huge shame. Really did feel like the kind of missing piece for that Wolves team. But I just think that they're going to have enough quality to overcome Palace at the moment. And, we've seen Palace have not been playing that well recently. And you just wonder if maybe this is where the rut starts to begin for Patrick Vieira and this Crystal Palace team. So 2-1 to Wolves for me in that one. James, who have you got winning that?
I believe, we both have been full of praise of what Vieira was able to do when he first came in, and how he's able to change the football. But Jack, this season hasn't been that impressive for them. They look like they're going to be in a bit of a scrap there. But you mentioned the quality. I think that they have a lot of quality, and with the quality that they have, they should be, for me, fighting in a higher place. You're looking like mid-table ish, because to me, Palace have a good team. But when we look at the other side, Wolves, in my opinion, have an even better team with the qualities like they have in certain areas. Yes, they're still looking for a manager, and it's a bit of a weird thing that's going on. Will they find one? But I look the last 3 fixtures, Jack. It's been a Crystal Palace win in the last 3 victories without goal conceded. Now that changes it for me, because Wolves getting their win, and I do like when they get that ball rolling. It's hard to bet against them. But I'm going to sit on the fence here, Jack, where I think it's going to be a 1-1 game.
1-1 game. I like it. James, staying with you, going back down to the South Coast with a bitter rivalry. You know how we are down south, mate. It's feisty. It's tough. It's like being in Buenos Aires, Boca Juniors against River Plate, Bournemouth at home against Southampton. Just wondering what your feel is for this game. Bournemouth, undefeated for a little while. And James, I'm not going to lie to you, doing these kind of predictions videos week on week, my least favourite team to do the predictions for, because I don't know what I'm going to get from them, is Southampton. I think if I were to go back and check which ones I've got wrong the most, it's been Southampton games, because I don't know what I'm going to get. So Bournemouth, Southampton, James, who have you got?
Bournemouth are mid-table, and Jack, I think the maddest thing for us is that have either one of us ever picked Brighton to win the game?
But Bournemouth,
Bournemouth.
Maybe I've had them to draw 1 week against a bad team. That's probably it.
I can't remember ever giving them a W at all, and they have proved us wrong, Jack. They're mid-table, I've had some very impressive wins, but when you look at the other side of it, Southampton, Jack, last 5 games, 1 draw. And it's not the most prettiest, and they may be in a relegation scrap, and they may stay up by the last day or something like that, but it's not going to be the most entertaining year for Southampton fans. I'm going to give Bournemouth a bit of love here, because I feel like we've been quite hard on them this season. I'm going to say, Jack, 2-0 Bournemouth.
Oh, look, I like it. I got it as 1-1. Again, I know you've just mentioned all those things, and guys, I think you can see the difference between the way me and James approach this. James likes to look at the matchups historically, gives him a bit more information on maybe what to do, etc., etc. I just go purely on my gut, just what I think how the game I think is going to play out. Yeah, James, I'm going for 1-1. I am going to stick with that. Again, I get kind of sick of predicting Southampton, because they're either great or they're not so great, or they draw. And I know that's the way that football works in general, but Southampton, I get no feel for what they're about. Going into any given game, I don't know what's going to come up. We've seen them give Man City a game. I believe this year that Saints Man City game was relatively close at points. So again, no idea what to do, so I'm just going to leave it as a draw. Moving on, Liverpool, fresh off that 1-0 victory against Manchester City. I'm sure they're going to be riding high. I'm not going to lie to you, James. They're welcoming West Ham, who I do feel more and more are getting things figured out. It feels like kind of this first 10 games or so has been like kind of a pre-season for David Moyes. Scamacca starting more consistently. I'm stuck here, because I don't know if we're going to see the Liverpool team and the formation and the style of play that played in the Man City game, or we're going to revert back to what he's been trying to do over the vast majority of the beginning of the season. I'm going to err on the side of just picking the better team at home at the best home ground, you'd argue, maybe in world football, which is Liverpool at home at Anfield. Regardless of how they play, I just think Liverpool will sneak a win. By how much of a victory it's going to be, it's going to depend on the style of play that they choose to do. So I'm just going to kind of balance it right in the middle. I'm going to say 2-0 Liverpool, and I'm just going to leave it at that, not try and dwell on it too much. Who have you got in that one?
I think it's going to be a bit more comfortable for Liverpool. The fact that they're back at Anfield after a fantastic display against Manchester City. West Ham have kind of been, they've changed their guard in a way from the point of view that they're sort of back to the old West Ham, and they got a player like Scamacca. He's coming into his own right now, Jack. We see some of the classy finishes and classy goals he has been able to score, and he, to me, is a very, very important player to them. But at Anfield, and the way Liverpool are feeling right now, I feel like they're going to go back to back here. I have Liverpool comfortable, Jack, in this game. I have Liverpool 3-0.
3-0. I like it. James, staying with you. West London. Fulham have been struggling for a while to try and create this West London derby to make a big enough thing. Maybe it will be Brentford that take up the mantle and make Brentford against Chelsea a tight game. Who have you got winning that one? Chelsea coming in, Graham Potter.
Oh, okay, Chelsea. The way the fixtures, I'm on the Premier League app, so I'm all over the place. This one was the one I was looking at before you mentioned the Liverpool game. It's an interesting one here, Jack, because Chelsea, can they go 5 straight wins under Potter, which would be, you cannot lie, it will be very, very impressive in the Premier League. But Brentford are a team I find it hard to bet against, Jack. I really, really do. Chelsea last season had the 4-1 loss to them, right. Really shocked the system. Oh, Jack, don't know. I'm gonna let me keep it safe. Let me say Chelsea victory.
Okay.
Let me go for a Chelsea victory. Let me go 1-0 Chelsea victory, just like last season.
1-0 Chelsea victory. I like it. I'm going 3-1. A little bit more convincing for me. I think what Graham Potter's done, James, is brought Chelsea Football Club back down to earth a little bit. I think he's come in, and all he's doing is he's kind of just given, it seems, again, this is just total, I'm just kind of filling in the blanks here myself, but it feels to me like he's just being like, yeah, let's outwork everybody. You're good. So let's just defend well and let's attack and let's show how good we are. And he's just brought everything back down and made things simple. And I think, to be perfectly honest, that's what has made Graham Potter such a great coach. And I think this transition so far, I'll be honest, he's exceeded my expectations for sure. I didn't know how well this would go for him, but the early beginnings here are fantastic. So I'm going to say 3-1. I think it's actually relatively convincing. Feels a little bit to me like Thomas Frank and Brentford have lost a little bit of that magic. So I'm going to go with 3-1 for Chelsea there. Newcastle Everton. Newcastle love a draw. Everton love defending. I'm going to go with 0-0, James. Over to you.
Jack, listen, it's easy to sit on the 0-0 here, and yeah, looking at previous fixtures right now, I'm going to look at how impressive Newcastle has been in the past few games. Even like the game at Old Trafford, yes, I get it, it was 0-0, but the fact that when you look at it overall, they could have easily got all 3 points in that game too. Penalty that wasn't given to Callum Wilson, all that sort of stuff there. But I'm going to back Newcastle again. I'm going to say 2-1 Newcastle, Jack.
2-1 Newcastle. James, staying with you, you just brought them up. Manchester United coming off that 0-0 with Newcastle. I mean, maybe come the end of the season, Man United might look back at that result and go, oh, we've done okay there, based on maybe how good Newcastle will be. But especially at home, you'd think they'd want to, be a bit more. They're at home again. Spurs come into town, though. Who have you got in that one?
It's another one that's like, woo, how am I feeling? But Man United last year was able to do the double against Tottenham. You remember the Ronaldo hat-trick last year in the 3-2 victory. I think Ronaldo starts again, and it's just a thing for me in Manchester United that they don't really fear Tottenham as much as it's always been a thing for them. You remember that classic saying from Sir Alex Ferguson, it's just, come on guys, it's just Tottenham. And
that's brutal.
I see this being a game that Manchester United get a victory in. Let me say 2-1. 3-2 Manchester United.
Oh, 3-2. Proper game of football. I'm going 1-0 Spurs. I watched some of the Newcastle game, and without Christian Eriksen, it's incredibly uninspiring. We see Bruno Fernandes then be put in the position that he was last year, which is, we can't create anything, so it's all up to you. So he tries these passes that basically only like Kevin De Bruyne and Luka Modric can do, and they don't come off that often. Sometimes they do, right? And he does create opportunities, but he doesn't have that total quality like those two names I just mentioned do. And when he's doing it by himself, teams know how to stop it. They do need that Eriksen part of it as well, just so that they can have a couple different ways to attack you in a creative sense. He wasn't there. He wasn't even on the bench. So that to me would be a concern. I don't know if he's fit and raring to go. And James, this Spurs team, It's Antonio Conte, and again, I feel like I say this every single week. It's not been pretty, it's not been good, but the quality of that attacking talent there, they only need one opportunity, and Harry Kane can easily score you a goal, and then they can defend well enough against a Man United team that's not super creative. Again, Man United story of their season, I feel like it's going to be 2 steps forward, 1 step back. This might be one of those steps back, in my opinion. Fulham welcoming Villa to town. This I purely just picked on my gut. I'm going to say 2-1 Villa. I couldn't necessarily tell you why. I just do get the feeling, Villa obviously played. Who did Villa play last week? That was a team they should have lost to. Yeah, so they played Chelsea, and again, relatively convincing loss against Chelsea. I just think that playing a team like Fulham, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to just say that this is a gut feel for me. I just have Villa winning this one 2-1. Maybe Mitrovic gets the goal for Fulham, but I just think Villa will snag this 2-1.
Jack, I actually agree with you. I think Villa over the last few weeks, the biggest problem for them, Jack, is that they don't have a goal scorer, and it's weird because you have Ollie Watkins and Danny Ings there. You got players who have capabilities of scoring goals, but it just feels week in and week out where they're in the opportunity, they're in the ascendancy to score a goal to put them ahead. They just can't seem to hit that final, make that final pass, make that final shot to put them ahead. But I feel like this is the game that they finally do that. Just like you, Jack, I'm going to stick with the 2-1 result.
2-1, I like it. James, coming to you for the last one of the week, and yes, unfortunately, we only have 9 this week. Leicester City at home, welcoming Leeds United, who battled their hearts out against Arsenal, and to a certain extent were unlucky not to get something out of the game. Leicester City, again, I don't want to say in free fall. That sounds kind of that sounds kind of harsh. They did just get the draw again at Palace, but again, James, it's not really been kind of the turnaround I think that we were hoping for Leicester City over the past couple of weeks. So who have you got in that one?
I feel like you mentioned Leicester City and the free-for-all thing. It's not really free-for-all. It's just uninspiring right now from a team that is very, very talented. Has some players there that could generally play in some of the top 6 team positions. Like you look at players like Yuri Tielemans, James Maddison, just 2 players to name there. But I'm going to back Leicester that they can actually get something out of there. Leeds against Arsenal, they were brilliant. But as they were brilliant, they should have got something out of it. And I think looking at the dynamics of that game, if I was their manager, I would have feel like that's an opportunity missed. And looking at this Leicester team, you're just waiting for them not to win a game, but to go on a run. Right. And the question is that when will they do? Because to me, they're too good of a team for this not to happen. And I think that at some point it's going to start. Let me just say it's going to start now. So I'm going to say a 2-0 win for Leicester City, Jack. 2-0
win. I got 2-1 for Leeds United. James, I've got to say I was really impressed with Brandon Aronson against Arsenal. He looked great. And this was one of the signings, mainly because he's American. I'm not going to lie. Hey, guys, I'm half American, so I'm allowed to say this, I think. Most Americans aren't all that. They really, really aren't. The best you're going to get is the Landon Donovans, Clint Dempseys of the world, right? I mean, we're seeing like a Pulisic and a Weston McKennie, but again, these guys aren't like superstars. But Aronson looked pretty good, I thought. Usually they're not up to that level. He looked pretty good against Arsenal. Again, Jack Harrison, there is quality in and around that team. I really like Meslier as well. I think if he can continue to develop, that's, going to be one of the top goalkeepers of the next generation as well. And I just think, again, it's maybe the disappointment from the Arsenal game will fire them up a little bit. But then, James, there's always that kind of flip of the coin as well, where losing in that kind of fashion as well, with the decisions that didn't go their way, missed penalties, etc., it can have that depressing effect as well. And maybe that, they can one loss can turn into 2 losses. So I'm a bit scared of that. I'm not going to lie, but I'm going to take Leeds United 2-1. Guys, let us know what you have here. I'm really, really sorry this video is going to go out Monday night and the games come at you Tuesday. So if you have time to watch this before the first kind of couple games come around, we really appreciate it. But if not, maybe catch it before Wednesday or before Thursday. Like the video, please hit subscribe if you're not already. And like I say, do drop your own comments in for the predictions. That's something we want to know as well. James, anything else from you, mate?
Guys, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next prediction video.